Hello guys, this is Neon Storm and I'm back with a new Mesmer build. This Mesmer build that I'm going to show you today is what I use in Fractals currently. There's been a lot of talk on the forums about different Mesmer Fractal builds that people usually build either really defensive or build glass cannon. I've tested a few things over the past couple weeks of being level 80 and I found that being a glass cannon, to me, is the best solution. You pump out the damage. You're really not into the combat, into the melee range as much as, any other class would be. So to be able to pump out the numbers helps your team out a lot, and this build also has a lot of utility, so it does have that utility factor. To me, this build is super fun. I'm currently level 13 in Fractals, and currently working on upgrading my back piece that I finally got. So figured I'd present you with a glass cannon option for Fractals. So here we go. With my armor, I'm going to start out with saying that I'm full berserker on everything. That's easy enough. I mean, my weapons are berserker. I use a great sword in my main hand, and I switch between sword and scepter, and always focus in my offhand. It switches up from time to time. And I have one fractal ring so far with agony resist, and I just got my prototype fractal capacitor. So right now, this is the only kind of thing that's not berserker, because I figure right now I'm at 57% crit chance. That's more than enough. I feel like 50's good enough. So putting a little power toughness into my gear won't hurt, and the extra health will help you, especially as a glass cannon. So this is currently the armor I'm wearing. It's mostly berserkers. And for the runes, I decided to go with ruby orbs because there's also been a lot of talk about rune of the ogre, rune of the, was it rock dog versus ruby orb, and some kid did some crazy shit and did the math for it, and ruby orb was on top, and I've noticed bigger numbers with ruby orb. So I go with 6 ruby orbs down the line, which is nice. For my sword, I go with Sigil of Perception, which increases precision each time you kill up to 25, so it's 250 precision. For my offhand, for my sword, I use Superior Force along with my scepter as well on the main hand. And offhand, I use Sigil of Battle, which you gain 3 stacks of might when you swap to this weapon in combat. It's also another useful thing to boost up your DPS a little bit. So, onto my traits. I go with a 10-30-0-0-30 build. For my domination, I go 1 for Mental Torment, which Mind Rack causes 20% more damage. Nothing wrong with more damage, especially as this is a glass cannon build. For dueling, I use Phantasmal Fury, which your phantoms have fury. If you keep your phantoms up all the time, which you should in this build, to increase your damage overall, having fury on your phantasms is beautiful and increases your damage overall, and again is useful for a lot of situations. For 20, I go Blade Training, which you gain plus 50 precision while wielding a one-handed sword or spear, reduces the recharge of sword and spear skills by 20%. Again, since I use sword mostly over scepter, this is useful to me. You could feel free to switch this one up, but for me, I use sword on occasion, especially on simple fights, simple trash, all that kind of stuff, just to help, move us along. For 30, I use Deceptive Evasion, which you create a clone every time you dodge. This is important because when you're a glass cannon, the more clones you have up, the more damage you're initially going to do. So having the ability just to dodge at max range, you 1, ignore agony, and 2, you have constant max DPS up at all times, which is useful. For illusions, I go with Compounding Power, with is 3% more damage for each active illusions. This is awesome. This is what I've been talking about. Every illusion you have up, you have a total up to 9% more damage for each active illusion. So make sure to keep your illusions up. Don't forget to use your shatters, but also when you're done using your shatters, you have 8 million abilities to bring up more illusions. For 20, I use Illusionary Invigoration, which recharges all of your shatter skills at 50% health, which is another useful thing. I love having that. And for 30, I use Illusionary Persona, which Shattering Illusions creates a shatter effect on you as well. It's pretty awesome effect, actually. So that's kind of my build. And for my abilities, I go with Ether Feast, which you heal for a nice amount, plus with the illusions you heal more. So keep your illusions up at all times, this gives you more of a reason to do so. My 7 I always switch out. I usually use Blink, but in certain circumstances you can always switch this up for Feedback, which you create a dome around your target that reflects projectiles. This is good for a lot of the bosses. Mr. Whiskers is good for this too. It really does help, and it stacks Confusion as well, I believe. I may be wrong, so don't quote me on that. Along with Distortion, these two abilities go hand in hand. Number 8, which is Signet of Illusions, which grants more health to your illusions and recharges your shatter skills immediately. It's very nice to have, and having that extra, if you're not below 50%, having that extra recharge is kind of nice to have, and on a 90-second cooldown it's really not too bad. My number 9 I also switch up a lot. I use Portal currently for people that may be falling behind or having a little bit of trouble, but I also switch this up for Feedback or Null Field, depending on which one I don't have up currently. Null Field is the one that rips all boons from foes and also cures all conditions on allies, which I find useful. Especially good for the fire fractal as well. When you get hot feet, it cleanses that immediately and keeps you back in the game. And of course, any Mesmer loves Time Warp. I love Time Warp. Time Warp is fun, and parties will love Mesmers because they have Time Warp. If you don't know what Time Warp is, it increases your attack speed. You attack twice as fast, so you attack 2 slices for every 1 slice for 10 seconds. It's got a long ass cooldown, which I wish it didn't, and diabetes is photobombing me. So yeah, I hope you guys, this helped you a little bit. I'm gonna show you some gameplay of me and my Mesmer. So thanks again, and here's some gameplay.
Kill me every time. You kill me every time. straight. You kill me every time. 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 And you break me. You kill me every time. And you take me. You kill me every time. And you break me. You kill me every time. And you take me. You kill me every time. And you break me. You kill me every time. You kill me every time. Taking arrogant principle of validation. You're pushing the master keys on when never question the hive. I'll be the nemesis of expectation. Refusing to regurgitate. Accuse and excommunicate. Force feeding, misleading. Burn the altar and I'll pass right through. Erasing, defacing. I want to be the anti-you. This narcissism is a system to intimidate, perpetuating, overcompensating.